Good afternoon, Viani.
Good afternoon. Hey there. How are you?
Hi. So I want to get to our first question straight away. So what actually happened in regards to the bankruptcy of Sri Lanka?
Okay. Well, actually, the Sri Lankan economy has been facing one of its worst ever economic crises since the independence from Britain in 1948, resulting from mismanaged government finances and ill-timed tax cuts, besides the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And Sri Lanka's foreign currency reserve have virtually run dry, and it can no longer afford to pay for imports of staple foods and fuels. And, the government blames the COVID pandemic, which affected Sri Lanka's tourist trade, one of its biggest foreign currency earners. And it also says that tourists have been frightened by a series of deadly bomb attacks on churches in 2019. And the situations continue to be worsened, and that's all about.
Viani, Caroline speaking here. And before that, thank you so much for joining us right here at 3 Hours News Show. Now, Viani, you were speaking about the government placed fault on the pandemic, that has been, we've been amidst the pandemic for the past 2.5 years now. But do you think this is the government's policies' fault, thus affecting this crisis?
Well, we get back to what happened in 2009. At the end of the civil war in 2009, Sri Lanka chose to focus more on providing goods to the domestic market instead of trying to break into foreign ones. So income from exports remained low while the bill for imports kept growing. And Sri Lanka now imports 3 billion more than its exports every year. And that is why it has run out of foreign currency reserves. At the end of the 2019, for example, Sri Lanka had 7.6 billion in foreign currency reserves. And comparing to by March 2020, its reserves have dwindled to 1.93 billion US dollar. And recently, the government said that this figure had fallen to just 50 million US dollars. And you can imagine that the government has also racked up huge debt with countries including China to fund what critics have called a necessary infrastructure project. And much of the popular anger for the economic crisis which followed has been directed at President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and his brother Mahinda, who he appointed to be prime minister, but then dismissed in May in the face of widespread protests. And President Rajapaksa has been criticized for big tax cuts he introduced in 2019, and after coming to power, and this lost the government more than 1.4 billion a year in revenue. And this is the things that create a fiasco of today. And this led to widespread crop failure. And when Sri Lanka's foreign currency shortages became a serious problem in early 2021, the government tried to limit the outflow by banning imports of chemical fertilizer and telling farmers to use locally sourced organic fertilizer instead. And this led to widespread crop failure, and Sri Lanka had to supplement its food stocks from abroad, and so much dependent on imports.
Viani, recently the Labor and Foreign Employment Minister of Sri Lanka, Manusha Nanayakara, have issued a statement that he wants foreign expatriates to shore up their foreign exchanges to help with fellow citizens. Do you think that it is a wise statement or even policy for the government to make?
Well, to be honest, it's rather hard to say whether it is wise or not, but. For today, it's very hard for them to face the problem by itself. So Sri Lanka urged its citizens overseas to send home money to help pay for desperately needed food and fuel openings after announcing a default on its 51 billion US dollar foreign debt. And that's all they can do now. And according to Central Bank Governor Nandala Wirasinghe said that he needed Sri Lanka abroad to support the country at this crucial juncture by donating much needed foreign exchange. But on the other hand, many more Sri Lankans said that they want to help, but they don't trust the government because the problem is not only with the situations of economy, but the corruptions and yeah, the hate of the people to the presidents and his cronies make Sri Lankan who stay abroad, seem reluctant to help. And I think, this is the last resort that the government can do for today.
All right, so Viani, well, let's talk about the debts right now. Now, Sri Lanka owes about $5 billion to China, recently borrowed additional $1 billion US to US. And in the next 12 months, Sri Lanka has to pay $7.3 billion domestic and foreign loans. In total, they have $35 billion in debt. Now, what should a country prepare to face such economic crisis? And now, as we are now currently seeing many problems with oil prices and even food supply. Now, let's talk about Sri Lanka beforehand, though. Sri Lanka paid off Israel for its oil imports with tea. Do you think other nations will also have, give them that kind of solution with bartering, in your opinion, Viani?
Well, I believe that every nation's facing some problems because we are living in a very dynamic, globalizing world where the situations is always dynamic too.
Correct.
So, what Sri Lanka needs most right now is on the overcoming of its financial conditions, and at the same time, they should also pay attention to the problems of their monetary policy, and that's they need right now. Yeah, they need some assistance from International Monetary Fund and also from World Bank. And not only that, they need more than that. Yeah, it means that the cooperations of all countries, not only the neighboring countries, but from any country in the world that can help them to tackle down their problems.
And we're seeing also because of COVID-19 and also because of the ongoing war, there are many nations right now ongoing to economic crisis. As we see, there's a lot of people having problems with oil prices and even food supplies. We're seeing also chicken prices is going up also from some part in Southeast Asia region. So when a country meets with these kind of crisis, especially economic crisis, what would the solution be, Viani?
Well, any crisis might occur in this dynamic globalizing world where the possibility is the change itself. Mm-hmm. And I have no doubt that we as a stakeholders that play an important role should manage everything necessary to face such a crisis in the years to come. And let's take a look at where we stand, and we are still faced with extraordinary uncertainty about the depth of the crisis. And, the government that don't satisfy their constituents don't remain government very long. So we might expect democracies to choose policies that benefit the economy as a whole. And as a citizens, it's our duty to play an important role in making sure that the process of decision making are kept on the track. And I hope that Sri Lanka can tackle down this problem by making their political conditions more normal, back to the normalcy, so they can continue to making the situations more stable.
Viani, as you know, Sri Lanka is not too far apart from our region, Southeast Asia. So do you think these types of crises will happen in the region, or are we in a state of steady growth?
Well, actually, you know that Sri Lanka is one of the middle-income country, and but I believe that it's rather different from Indonesia. Yeah, because our country has more strong democracy and also has more strong conditions that more stable. And I think that when we see the economic growth in South Asia, developing Asia's economy are forecast to grow 5.2% this year and 5.3% in 2023, according to the Asian Development Bank, and thanks to a robust recovery in domestic demand and continued expansion in exports. And however, uncertainty stemming from the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the continuing coronavirus disease or COVID-19 pandemic and tightening by the United States Federal Reserve pose risk to the conditions. And the Russian invasion of Ukraine poses the most severe risk to developing Asia's economic outlook. And the war is already affecting economy in the region through sharp increases in prices for commodities such as oil, and has heightened instability in global financial markets. And COVID-19 continues to impact many parts of developing Asia, with some economies experiencing new surges in cases. And the government in the region will need to remain vigilant and prepared to take steps to counter this risk. And that includes making sure as many people as possible are fully vaccinated against the COVID-19. And monetary authorities should also continue to monitor their inflation situation closely and not fall behind the curve. And along with the recovery in domestic demand and looser mobility restriction on account on vaccination progress, increasing exports fueled developing Asia's recovery last year. And for remittances to the region also remain resilient, especially for economies relying heavily on this incoming money transfers such as Bangladesh, the Kyrgyz Republic, Pakistan, and Tajikistan. And international tourism began to pick up for economies that have started to reopen, including Maldives and also Sri Lanka, and some economies in the Pacific. And Southeast Asian economies are expected to expand collectively by 7.0% in 2022 and 7.4% in 2023, with India, the sub-region largest economy, expected to grow to 7.5% this fiscal year and next fiscal year.
Now, with that said, Viani Puspita Sari, Padjajaran University International Economics expert, we'd like to thank you so much for your time, for your insights, and enlighten us during regarding this situation. And hopefully you'll always stay safe. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again next time.